Big Bertha Irons, B21s. So big kind of theme at the moment for Callaway in the B21. We did the driver, I was very impressed. We're going to have a look at the irons today. Matt's going to look at the numbers later on. It's game improvement. It's big and chunky. In theory, it's there to make golf easier for some people. Who are those people and how is it going to make it easier? That sounds pretty strong to me. So when I look at these clubs, I'm going to hit a little 9-iron run here after my 7-iron that didn't quite reach. It's very chunky, big fat top lines, plenty of offset. There's a lot of club down by the ball. You know, it's doing what you'd want this club to really kind of do. The players in theory are looking at getting these clubs are people maybe who want as much help as possible. And the bigger it looks, generally for people, the more confidence it gives them. It gives them an idea that they can hit that face and get away with things. And that's the whole idea with the tech in these. It's all built to try and help you when you are dotting it on different parts of the face. And as you go up through handicap ranges, a general pattern is that strike does start deviating all around the face. So that's why this kind of golf club is going to be aimed at people who maybe don't strike it as well as they want to. Let me just hit a little 9-iron run, because remember with these clubs you are trying to bang them as far as possible, but you also want a little bit of touch as well. And we'll go and have a look at the tech, see exactly what you can or can't do with this club. So we're seeing the AI face that we've seen in all the Bertha range and prior. So I don't know if you're seeing that, very unique inside that face. So there's ripples all in different places. So they're using their supercomputer to know where to strengthen and make it thinner to try and keep those ball speeds more consistent across that face for everyday golfers. The very wide soles on the bottom of the Big Berthas. B21 comes with the wide sole. They're saying for nice turf interaction, which I kind of get and don't as well. You normally relate turf interaction to thinner soles, but that's what they're saying. And plenty of offset, again trying to help with launch, maybe face closures, but that's debatable. But plenty of offset I think will help with a little bit of launch. And we've got more tungsten in the head for higher launches, they're saying. So you can really see the cavities here in the toe, in the heel. There's even a slot in the back. We've got cut face design as well on the B21s. They carve around the outside of the head to give it, again, remove the weight where they don't need it, to use it in other places. And plenty of tungsten down and back in this iron. Again, it's all built around trying to help that ball up in the air. And then we get the urethane microspheres, I think they're calling it. So they're using dampening, absorbing properties in the back of the head to try and help with the sound and the feel, which hitting the first few out there felt pretty solid. Let's see how we get on hitting a few more. So the 7-iron, same kind of ideas. I quite like that the iron isn't massively long, like they would look huge if it got too long. It's relatively stumpy, 7-iron thick. You've got the offset, you can see the tech there, AI face that you've been seeing from Callaway for a long time. Everything is there to try and basically help you. Now what I tend to find with these kind of irons is the help generally comes more from launch than it does keeping distances up across the face. But think about that, if the launch is a little higher, distances in turn will stay up across the face, because if you're losing launch, that's what's going to make your balls just drop that little bit quicker. CG's low and all that kind of thing does it. Now the feel of them, you know, it's firm is a good way of explaining it, which I think lots of people would really kind of buy into, because if you're not putting the most speed in, things that feel firm, solid, a bit more explosive will make you feel like you're getting more speed out. I think that speed's going to come more from the lofts than it does any of the trickery in the tech, but we'll look at that in the numbers. For me, it's a very firm, strong feel. Now again, generally the people who want to buy these kind of clubs, they're not really comparing it up to a blade and soft and all these kind of fashionable golf things that we, as maybe your really low handicappers want. So it's just going to feel solid and good, kind of positive things really. Now when we get to the long irons, 5-iron, obviously with the loft of these, really could be classed as a long iron. You do see a bit at the back of the club, out the back. Again, it's the squat, chunky offset design. You know, I could really see this as a, you know, it looks like the modern day driving irons almost. It makes a lot of sense to me, this. The shorter irons I think you would have to get used to, but again it's subject to what you're already used to. You know, it looks exactly like you'd expect it to look, and it's kind of doing exactly what I expect it to do. And with all golf clubs, that's really what you want. You want the reliability of what it's saying it will do for it to do that. You don't want any shocks when you're on the golf course. Slight chrome finish as well, just picking up the sun. I don't mind it, but a little bit glary. and it's a solid feel. But I'd imagine, and we'll look at the numbers in a second, that the loft of these clubs, you know, it's doing what the loft says. So they're stronger loft, so I'm going to get more ball speed. But there's absolutely no problem getting this up in the air. The launch, which is what you're really buying into when it comes to game improvement, from my testing has shown, it's that added degree of launch which gets you the, you know, like a decent ball flight. You're going to lose spin again, which we'll check, but the height, the feel off the face, kind of everything I'd expect, which is a good thing. 9-iron down by the ball, quite rounded again, looks like a big, like a steak, big chunk of meat, you know, like a solid bit of meat down there. I think they're going to really instill a lot of confidence in lots of golfers. I definitely imagine we're going to see less spin, so we're going to see all those power numbers that we see, but I'll be honest with you, they feel solid, relatively nice. And I think, again, the confidence that they would give to people by looking at them is only a positive if you want this style of club. Which I know lots of people who watch reviews, you probably like the forged blades and all that kind of thing, I get that. But there's plenty of people out there who'll look at that and think, oh, that's going to make me feel better. Let's go and see what the numbers are doing. All right, let's collect some numbers. We're going to start with the 9-iron. I'll collect up through the 975 just to give you some colour of all the different kind of launches and spins that you get off these clubs. So green's at 147, and that 9's got there easily. In. Oh! That nearly slammed in. Right, 7-iron next. Again, this does look kind of 6-5-iron down at the ball. Green set out at 180, which is a massive 7-iron if you go with the number on the bottom for me. That's a hideous toe, that last one. It'd be interesting to see what it did for me there, because it was a real miss hit on the last. So I'm just going to hit the same club, 7-iron now, and I'm going to hit it 120. So try and apply the same numbers, just take all the speed out, just so we can give you a comparison. Because obviously me hitting a 7-iron there, 184 carry is all fun and games, but the average player buying this club probably isn't going to be trying, or aren't able to do that. They're going to be hitting more like a 120 in the air 7-iron. So I'm going to apply my delivery numbers, but try and slow it down. So we'll delete that one and I'll just bring a bit more speed off it. So finish on the 5. I'm going to hit 3, which would be my normal distance, so we're 205. And then I'll try and hit 3 of the 5 irons, which go, let's say, around 150. So for the slower golfer as well, which again, you would argue these are aimed at more. That is a rip. Ooh. Bit of a wild one. So there's 3 flat out, 1 wild one, 2 decent. A little bit fadey, which I wasn't expecting to see. Now I'm going to try and get it to the 150. Right, 150 again. I'm going to be quite straight on. I'm not going to slice it. I'm just going to try and take speed off. So I'm going to put a bit more speed. That will run close. Okay, let's bring Matt in, see what he makes of these numbers.
Okay, let's take a look at the numbers. So Mark's 9-iron carrying 147, 7-iron 177, and 5-iron 202. Pretty powerful numbers. All to do with the loft though, basically. So if you imagine this 9-iron being an 8-iron loft, 8-iron loft spinning usually around 7,000, 8,000 probably outside. Mark being a little bit of a lower spinner golfer as well. So 6,000 revs isn't too bad for this, what you would class as more of a power bat. And the 7 and the 5-iron spins falling in line with that 9-iron as well, and that producing strong numbers with his carry distances 177 and 202. And if you look at the top left-hand chart here, this is your ball flights for each club, and the full out shots that Mark's hitting, look how they're all peak heighting very similar. And as he came down with the slower swing speeds, see the 5 and the 7 iron, so the 5 iron the blue line and the 7 iron the green, the peak height is a lot lower with that 5, and that's going to play a big part into you guys hitting into greens, not being able to stop those balls. So you really need to think about what the longest iron in your club's going to be, and maybe think about stopping at a 7 iron if that peak height's going to come down, and then go into maybe some hybrids.
So as expected with the numbers, they're low spinning, high launching, powerful lofted irons. I think you can gain, but you can also lose depending on if you understand your peak heights, land angles and rollouts and what have you. I think hitting 7 irons at a 184 green out here is all good and fun. Oh, lovely shot. But how realistically I can play with those kind of numbers, I think, is the debate. And even though obviously I'm swinging at different speeds, even when I slowed it down, it's the same conundrum when you start rolling off the loft. I take my daughter, for instance, like she would never game that 5 iron, she jumps to a hybrid there. So definitely, like Matt says, looking at what set makeup you get into with these would be a good option. But in all fairness, they do exactly what they're meant to do. They're gonna make people feel comfortable. The offset's gonna make them feel like they might be able to control the face subject if they like looking at it or not. So they do exactly what they're meant to do. Let me know in the comments down below, is this the kind of club you would game, or do you like much thinner clubs? You know, where are you with chunky irons in your opinions?